Greenland is one of the largest islands on Earth, so large that on many maps it looks comparable to entire continents, and yet despite all of that space, almost nobody lives there, with a population smaller than many towns. Which raises an obvious question: how can such a massive piece of land have so few people? The first reason is climate. Because most of Greenland is covered by a giant ice sheet that blankets roughly 80% of the island, leaving huge areas buried under thick ice year-round and making permanent settlement nearly impossible across most of the interior. But cold weather alone doesn't fully explain it, because people live in other cold places too. So the next issue is geography. Because Greenland's usable land is mostly limited to narrow coastal edges where small communities are separated by mountains, fjords, and rough terrain. That means even traveling between towns can be surprisingly difficult, with many places relying more on boats, planes, or helicopters than roads, because there are very few roads connecting settlements at all. And when communities are physically isolated like that, building large cities, industries, or national infrastructure becomes far harder and more expensive. Then there's agriculture, because unlike fertile regions where populations can grow around farming, Greenland's short growing seasons and harsh environment severely limit what can be produced locally, meaning many goods must be imported from abroad. That raises the cost of everyday life and makes large-scale population growth less practical. Historically, Greenland's population developed around coastal fishing and hunting communities rather than inland expansion, and that pattern still shapes where people live today, with most residents concentrated in a small number of coastal towns. But what makes Greenland even more interesting is that despite its tiny population, it still matters globally, because it sits in a strategic Arctic location between North America and Europe, while also holding valuable natural resources and growing importance as Arctic sea routes become more accessible.